Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Dennis Brown. Thank you for joining me for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. I do these trainings every Monday at noon, and today I'm going to share with you a secret lead source for finding shippers and shipper leads as a freight broker. And the fact is, I did a little bit of research. I just discovered this recently. There was a post on LinkedIn from a friend of mine, John Rogers, who posted this, and I'm telling you, it's pretty amazing. I'm going to share some details with you. I'm going to share the site. I'm going to share how to use it. I'm going to share how to build a list, how to find their contact information. So we're going to do a quick walkthrough. Hopefully the training will only be maybe about 10 minutes. And then after that, we'll jump into live Q&A. So hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. Love to hear from you. And I'll do some shout outs. So again, we're going to do some shout outs, then we'll do the training, and then we'll do live Q&A. Now hold your questions till the end, okay? Because they're going to get lost in the feed. I'll never find them. You'll never get your answers, okay? So without further ado, let's do some shout outs. Cynthia from Forestville, Maryland. Brian from Independence, Oregon. Welcome. Carl Gills from Bethlehem, Georgia. Misha, welcome. Betty from Raleigh. Corey from Montana. Simon from Nashville. So we got people coming in from all over the place. Thank you. Zir Yakub from Ann Arbor, Michigan. We got Ricky Brown from Greenville, South Carolina. Daniel from Columbia, South Carolina. So people coming in from all over. I'm very grateful that you guys are joining me here. I know it's a busy, you guys are probably very busy. It's the middle of the day, and you probably have a lengthy to-do list and a lot of people to call and a lot of things to work on in your business. But I truly believe that this short live training will be worth it, because I'm going to share with you a lead source that I would tell you probably 95 out of 100 freight brokers and freight agents don't know about, at least yet. They don't know about it yet. So it's kind of like a secret private source here that you can get online. Again, there are millions and millions and millions of websites. So sometimes these things, new websites pop up, new sources pop up. And I found this. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a great site, a lot of great data and information there. So that's where we're at. Oh, I'm frozen. Oh, I was having some minor. Am I frozen? Confirm that it's on my end. I was having a little bit of technical issues earlier. So I don't know. Hopefully I'm not frozen, because on my end. Okay. So that must be you, Betty. Everybody can see me. Give me a quick heads up that you can see and hear me. Okay, good. All right. So Betty, that must be a tech issue on your end. Typically when I freeze on this end, and that's a tech issue on my end. If we run into any of those issues, I did have some minor tech issues. I might have to replace some of my connectors and some of my little doodads here. But yeah, I think we're good to go. So that's awesome. All right, cool. So let me grab a quick drink, and then I'm going to unveil the source. All right, cool. All right. So Betty, you might have to log out, log back in, reboot something. We'll be here. And worst case scenario, if you don't catch this live, you can catch it on replay. Okay. Joseph from San Antonio, shout out. Tony from Richmond, Indiana. All right, cool. Awesome. All right, so the new lead. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let me just give a quick intro. Are you looking for leads as a freight broker? Are you looking for shipper leads? Are you looking for leads as a freight agent that you can call to build your business? All right, so, one of the questions I get quite often is how to find leads, how to find shippers as a freight broker. How do freight brokers find shipper leads? Okay, so that's one of the questions I get a lot. So whenever I see anything new, I have a tendency, it gets my attention. And so recently I ran across a new site from one of my friends. He posted it on LinkedIn, John Rogers. He's an amazing agent, does a great job. I highly suggest you follow him on LinkedIn. He's always got a lot of great tidbits and advice talking about how he's building his business. So he's in the trenches. So here's what we're going to do. The website, I'm actually going to share my desktop here real quick. So let me share. Okay, sorry for the delay, but the website is called keychain.com. Okay, keychain.com. So you don't need to go there right now because I'm going to give you a quick demo on how to find leads. Now, this is a website that focuses in on co-packers and co-manufacturers. So there are a lot of food related products on this site, right? So, it is a little bit niche down. I mean, you're not going to find steel. You're not going to find building supplies. So it is more niche down into co-packers and where they focus on, which a lot of times is heavily around food items. So you can see here, it's giving you some examples of different food items there that manufacturers make based on their brands or based on different categories. But I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase really quick. So let's say, for example, there's a search up here. If you wanted to, for example, part of your niche was ice cream. Okay. So we're just going to pull up ice cream. You can see here, you can search by category, brand, product, manufacturer, whatever you're looking for. I'm just going to look at category. And what you're going to see is if I scroll down here, it's going to give me a whole list of, number one, 86 different manufacturers. It gives me one ingredient supplier, which is another person that you could contact, as well as packaging suppliers. So those are the suppliers that are actually going to provide what the product is going to go into, right? So bottles or cans or tubs or paper or wrapping or those sorts of things. Okay. So let's jump back over into the manufacturers. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. We can scroll down through here. You can see, if you look at the profile, we'll look at Pierre's Ice Cream because I looked at that one earlier. You can see here, they're based out of Ohio. These are the types of categories that their company actually co-packs and co-manufactures. Here's the company information, 50 to 100, 51 to 200 employees, established in 1932, the website, kind of a quick summary. And then you can get into facilities and it's going to tell you the location. They've got a location in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay. So that's an example of a company that you could easily contact that co-packs ice cream for major brands. Now, I don't know the exact brands they co-pack for because a lot of times that is not divulged, but they are a co-packer that's been around for almost 100 years. So they're doing business with probably a lot of the major brands that you buy in and around the ice cream space. Now, you'll notice that there is a website here. And if you were to click on it, okay, it'll pull up the website, the actual website itself, right? And so let's see, sharing this tab, StreamYard, view tab, stream. Okay, we don't want to do that. Okay, so let's make sure, share this tab instead. Okay, so we want to make sure we're sharing this. Okay, cool. So let me know, make sure you hit me up in the comments and let me know and confirm you guys can still see the Perry's Ice Cream profile. I want to make sure because I was jumping back and forth here a little bit. But make sure that you guys can see the Perry's Ice Cream. You're able to see that. Okay, so hold on. I apologize. My mistake. Amateur mistake there, but here we go. All right, cool. So here's what you can see. All right, so here is the Perry's Ice Cream profile that we were just talking about. And you can see down here through the company information, you got 51 to 200 employees. You got founded in 1932. Here's the company website. Here's kind of a description of the business. You can see down here, you can see the facilities. You can see the square footage. There's a lot of great information in here on this profile right on keychain.com. Okay. So there's a lot of great information here, but here's what you're not going to find. You're not necessarily going to find the contact information. You're not going to find out who the shipping manager is, who the logistics manager is. You're not going to find out, their email address or their company phone number or the personal phone number. So here's what I'm going to do. Watch. This is really, really simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to log into Apollo. Okay. So for those of you that haven't signed up for Apollo yet, all you have to do is go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads. It's absolutely free. Okay. There's a free version of this. There's also paid versions, but there's a free version where you can go in, for example, and search for, let's search for Pierre. All right. I had done this earlier, Pierre Ice Cream. We're going to do a quick search. And here you can see that they've got, looks like 35 different employees, right? Ranging from food scientist to plant manager to senior account executive to distribution and purchasing. That might be interesting. we got warehouse associate, we got transportation manager. Now, here's the cool part. What you'll see is if you actually click on Pierre's Ice Cream, what it's going to do is it's actually going to pull up a profile of Pierre's Ice Cream, and you'll be able to see additional details. For example, you can see the company phone number. Now, that's the main phone number to the company. That's not necessarily the specific person, but that is the company phone number. So that's a pretty great place that you can find that for free. And then, for example, let's say, for example, we go over to their LinkedIn profile. So we click on their LinkedIn profile from there, and then from there, let me make sure I'm still sharing. Yes. Okay, cool. So from there, what you're going to see when you go on let's see, share this tab instead. Oh, that's the company website. Let's go to the actual LinkedIn profile. Sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, so this is Pierre Ice Cream's LinkedIn profile, okay? So what you're going to do from here is if you go into you can search through and you can kind of see some of the data here. But if you search in people under Pierre's Ice Cream, I should say, and you start scrolling down, you're going to see all the LinkedIn connections and you're going to see their profile. And if you scroll down, you'll see the VP of Sales, Frank Elliott. You'll see Carl Anderson, Plant Operations Manager, and then you'll see Jack Handley, which is a transportation manager, right? So if I click on Jack's profile and then I can scroll down through, I can try to look for his contact information. Of course, there's no phone number in there, but this is where I could obviously connect or message Jack. I can also gather important sales intelligence. I know how long he's worked there. You know, I know his previous positions. I know, for example, you know, a variety of things about him, things he's endorsed for, basically an about section. And so what's cool thing from here is that if you have another plugin called Lucia, which is a free plugin where you can log in for free, and you click on that, what you're going to be able to do is you're actually going to be able to see some additional information that they've gathered, some of the same information, some revenue and so on and so forth. But here is a option where you'll be able to show the email, and this is what they're saying that Jack Handley's email is. They have a high probability that this is Jack's direct email. So not only have we found out who the transportation manager is, so we gathered a lead, which is Pierre's Ice Cream. We found out who the transportation manager was, and we found the company phone number and his company email address. Okay. So that's pretty powerful in itself, right? So let's look at another quick example here. Okay. Let's go back over to Keychain, and we're going to take a look at something different. So this time, rather than ice cream, okay, let me make sure that we got the right thing here. Rather than ice cream, we're going to search, say, for example, you were searching for some sort of a vegetable like tomato, right? Let me spell it correctly. Okay. So we're going to search for tomato, and we're going to look in manufacturers, and then we're going to look and we're going to see, let's see. There was one in here previously. Let me make sure. Let's look under category. Okay, so maybe it's under sliced. Okay, here you go. So this is self-stable diced tomatoes, okay? So if I scroll down, you can see the manufacturers, you can see the packaging providers, right? You still see these lists, right, of companies. And what you can do is if you go, for example, into Pacific Produce, right? If we look at Pacific Produce, you're going to get that profile. You can see they have 8 different facilities. You can look at their company information. They're a large company, 1,000 to 5,000 employees, founded in 1941. You can look at their website, so on and so forth. But let's, for example, do the same thing we did before. Let's take that company name and let's go over into Apollo and let's do a quick search for Pacific Coast Produce. And we found the company, and you can see here, you've got contacts. If I want to go in and take a look at the company, you can see here's the company phone number. Here's the annual estimated revenue, right? Here's the founding year, so on and so forth. Here's a bunch of the main connections. So if I scroll back over and then I keep scrolling down through, I can look for probably what's a transportation manager, logistics manager, something of that nature. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over onto their LinkedIn profile, right? You can set up your LinkedIn profile for free. And then again, I'm going to go into people and I can scroll down through, or what I can do is I can actually search, right? And here you go. Andrew Tripp is the manager of transportation for Pacific Produce. So that's a great place to start. Now, if I click on his profile and I have the Lucia plugin, the free Lucia plugin already here, if I already have that installed in my Chrome browser, all of a sudden now it's going to give me, potentially it's giving me phone numbers, it's giving me emails directly for him, a whole bunch of other datas. If I want to show this details, right? So it limits the number. Okay, view upgrade. Okay, dismiss. So you have to, so some of these in Lucia you'll have to pay for. Some of them are free. But again, to be able to access this information very quickly can be very powerful. What I find is a lot of that information is free in Lucia. And if not, again, you can still just contact the direct company phone number, but you know who Andrew Tripp is, the transportation manager. So rather than you calling, their main switchboard, their main company, and then just asking for shipping or logistics or who is your shipping manager, or who's your transportation manager, you're actually going to have the name. So that's going to help you get through the gatekeeper. Okay. So those are some good examples of how to use Keychain. All right. So if you were to, for example, there's all kinds of different types of manufacturers in here, right? So in different categories. I mean, let's say, for example, you saw a product at Kroger and it was frozen broccoli, and you wanted to know who are the types of manufacturers that actually co-pack that. You can click on Kroger traditional favorite frozen broccoli cuts, and you can scroll down through and you can see all of these companies are potential co-packers that can actually provide the service to a company like Kroger's. And if you want to add it to the short list, right, you can add this to the short list. And then, that'll compile kind of a list for you. And when you go over to short list, then it's going to put all those manufacturers in a list for you so that you can actually go back later and do some additional research or reach out to them. So what I found is that this is really a great source. They say they have over 30,000 manufacturers, as you can see here. They've got over 2,315 product categories, over 1 million products in their database. And it's absolutely free. Now, you do have to register for the site, but all you need is an email address and a basic company data, and anybody can register. I registered the other day and it worked great. So I think this is a great source for finding shipper leads as a freight broker or freight agent. How to find shipper leads as a freight broker. If this is a question that you have or you're looking for leads, this is just another great source. I've got a lot of other great videos on my channel, on my YouTube channel, where I talk about different lead sources. But I think this could be a great one for you guys to play around with today, find some leads. If you guys enjoyed this, let me stop sharing really quick and jump back over into StreamYard. If you guys enjoyed this and you thought that this was a valuable resource and a quick lesson to learn how to find, compile a list, gather some sales intelligence and contact information on your leads, let me know in the comments, 1 to 10. 1, Dennis, listen, this was terrible. 10, hey, listen, I absolutely loved it. This was perfect. This is the type of stuff I want you to provide for me. And listen, if you need help getting shippers, right? If you're a new broker or a new agent and you're looking for help to get new shippers, you're kind of struggling, you don't know how to overcome objections, you're doing really poorly on cold calling, you're just really struggling with some of the basics of getting shippers, what I want you to do is check out my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. It's an 8-week coaching program where I take that piece of my brain, I transplant it into your head. I teach you everything I know about freight broker sales, my favorite sales strategies, and most importantly, my entire sales system that has allowed me to do over 200 million as a freight broker, but more importantly, has allowed many of my clients to build 6 and 7 and even 8-figure businesses. Okay. So you can get on the wait list. You'll be the first to get notified. Typically that's sold out, but you will get notified when spots open up. And listen, if you are just looking for freight broker startup help, meaning you're in the early stages of doing some research and maybe you haven't set up your authority yet, or maybe you're just not quite sure exactly what you want to do, and you're looking for some really straightforward, the most comprehensive and cost-effective online freight broker training, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students. I've had that program since 2009, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So appreciate you guys being here. Smash that like button, share the stream, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Okay, cool. So if you guys want to stick around, for Q&A, hold tight. Don't put your questions in yet. Let me check out some of the feedback. Okay. Yeah, I know I had a couple little issues changing the screen, but I think I think we were able to finally get caught up. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, really what it comes down to is the new lead source is keychain.com. Okay. And you can use Keychain to find over 30,000 different manufacturers and over 2,300 different product categories. And these are all co-packers. Okay. So these are all co-packers. And so they work with major brands because a lot of times major brands like Target and Walmart and Whole Foods and all the major, whether you're doing peanut butter or hot sauce or coffee or, whatever it is, typically co-packers in a lot of cases are actually packaging that for the brand themselves because it allows that brand to scale up. Okay. So this is a great source to find who those co-packers are because in a lot of cases, you just never know who they are. You see the brand, you see Frank's red hot sauce, but you don't know who co-packed it, right? And so those are the companies behind the scenes that are kind of hard to find sometimes. And this is a great source for you guys to get access to that. So, all right, cool. All right, some good feedback. Awesome. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing on this when I do the released edited version because I really kind of screwed up the demo a little bit. And I apologize for that. But you guys can feel free to ask questions, whether it be about keychain.com, whether it be about other lead sources, whether it be about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, about just sales in general, cold calling, whatever it is, whatever questions you guys have, be specific. Hit me up in the comments. I'll do a quick Q&A, and then we're going to get out of here. I'm actually going to go hunting for the first day. I'm a big bow hunter. For those of you that do bow hunting, I'm in Western New York. Season opened up last week, a week ago, and I haven't even been out yet, which is pretty much unheard of for me. So I'm going to be going out this afternoon. I got property about an hour away. I got 83 acres, and I'm going to go down, and I'm going to spend the afternoon. I'm going to enjoy it, see if I can see a few deer because that's really what I bow hunt for. And so any bow hunters out there, hit me up in the comments. Any hunters out there, hit me up in the comments. If you're a part of PETA, don't hit me up in the comments. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Questions. All right. So Amisha says, Apollo seems a little bit harder to maneuver than HubSpot to me. I can typically find the company main email address by inserting their company domain in the system. Yeah, I mean, if HubSpot has a solution for you to be able to find the company data, then feel free. Sure. Yeah. I just gave you a free way to do it, which is Keychain, go over to LinkedIn, and then from LinkedIn, you go from Keychain to Apollo to LinkedIn to the contact to using Lucia as a way to source the email address or phone number. Okay. So yeah, so those are, I mean, you can get all that stuff in Lucia if you want the email and phone number for the contact. It just costs you money, right? So a lot of times Lucia may have that data. So you can do it either side, but this is kind of a system on how to find a company, use Apollo. Again, and if you guys want to sign up for that free account at Apollo, you just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads. Okay. You don't need a credit card. All you need is an email. You can get set up and you can get access to all the same data that I had there. I don't pay for Lucia, or I don't pay for Apollo. Okay. That's a free account. Everything you just saw was through a free account. Okay. So you can get access to all that same data with a free account. All right. Next question. Betty, your sound is gone. Is anybody else having tech issues? Let's just see who else we got here. All right. Simon says, good morning, Dennis. How do I, as a broker carrier, get leads for FEMA loads, especially with the hurricane coming up soon? You have to be registered with FEMA. You have to be a FEMA approved carrier. So you have to go through the FEMA process. They're going to have some fairly stringent guidelines in order for you to be a provider. But if you do get set up with them as an approved provider, you will be able to compete for any FEMA related logistics or freight needs. So that would be something where you'd have to search FEMA transportation or logistics providers. I'm sure there's a website that probably, let me just look really quick. I've seen it before, FEMA logistics providers, right? So you can probably find, yeah, if you go to Google and you search FEMA logistics providers, you'll find a site at FEMA.gov where it talks about logistics and how you can enroll and how you can become an approved provider. So that's what you would do. Okay. Hope that helps. All right. Carl asks, does a freight agent make quotes based off what their brokerage sets as a standard of giving quotes, or is that the agent's discretion? That's at your discretion as an agent. Yeah. So you will determine your own rates. You will determine the rates that you quote to your shippers. You'll determine the rates that you pay to your carriers based on your ability to negotiate. Yeah, as a freight agent, as an independent 1099 freight agent, they will not dictate your rates. Now, they may have some data in their TMS that you can use to establish rates. They may have some historical information on what they've paid carriers on a van load from Buffalo to Atlanta in the last 60 days. And you can use that list of carriers and the rates that they paid to be able to kind of source and find out what the rates are. But you will determine your own rates that you quote to shippers and the rates that you pay to carriers based on your ability to source and negotiate those rates. Good question. Is there any good way to target shippers for refrigerated LTL freight? Also, can I utilize box trucks to move those types of loads? Well, if you have a refrigerated box truck, which I don't think they have like box trucks that are refrigerated, but they might. I've never used one. Okay, so your question is, how do you find refrigerated LTL freight? Okay, well, this is a good example. If you were to go to Keychain.com and you were to search for refrigerated type products like ice cream or popsicles or frozen lobster or whatever, any frozen food that you can figure out, go into Keychain, you can search by that type of a product. So, if I were looking at, like, we did ice cream, right? So ice cream's a perfect example of one of those. We could go into all those co-packers, and then those co-packers, in a lot of cases, what you're going to find out is that those co-packers will have a lot of their outbound freight to customers, not all of it, but a lot of their outbound freight to customers will be customer routed, but all of their inbound raw materials will not, right? So you got to understand, a company that co-packs ice cream is going to have to source things that are a part of that. They're going to have to source the bottles. They're going to have to source the wrappers. They're going to have to source the paper. They're going to have to, source the actual ice cream that's manufactured or made, the cream, the flavoring, all that stuff, all that inbound from a co-packer is something where most times they're going to control the freight on that. So their outbound to shippers may be customer routed, but their inbound, they'll have to route themselves. Okay. So that's kind of the thing about co-packers, because they're not an end brand. They're not a retailer. So a lot of times they won't control the outbound, but they will control the inbound. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought up that question, because it allowed us to kind of ferret that out. Now, are they specifically going to be shipping LTL? That we don't know. Here's what there'll probably be a lot more different LTL customers than there will full truckload customers, because there are a lot more small companies than there are large companies, right? So, you'll have to discover that, but I think you can use Keychain as a source to find some frozen LTL freight based upon the different categories that you decide you want to go after, like ice cream being one of them. So hope that helps. Sorry, Betty. Everybody else can hear. Okay. Sean, construction leads are a great lead source. Yeah, absolutely. This is more in the food grade, but yeah, this is more if you're interested in food as opposed to construction. But yeah, construction can be a great niche. Is sam.gov a good source for freight brokers to look at contacts? To be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I've been on there before, but I'm not sure if I haven't spent a lot of time there. So I really couldn't answer that right now. Maybe I'll jump in there and maybe I'll do another one on that in the future if that becomes a good source. But I haven't really looked at sam.gov a whole lot. So I'm not sure that I can really give you any feedback on that at this point. Misha asks, when is a good time to reach out to these companies or corporations? When's a good time? Anytime's a good time, right? I mean, Monday through Fridays is when you're really going to get them in the office. Typically they work from typical schedules are like 7 to 4, 8 to 5 type hours. If you're asking the best time to contact them, that's very subjective, right? Because again, we're going to have different time zones. We're going to have, so I mean, here's what I'm going to tell you. You have to start somewhere, right? Some people will say, Mondays and Fridays are bad days to reach out in sales. The reality is they're not. It depends upon the industry. It depends upon the company. It depends upon the individual. It depends on the size of the company. There's a lot of variables there. So what you have to realize is that you have to figure out a way and you have to motivate yourself to prospect every day. Okay. So you need to develop a system where maybe sometimes you're doing it in the AMs on Monday. Sometimes you're doing it in the PMs. Sometimes on, different times, you'll block out 2 or 3 or 4 hours to prospect during any given day, but have some sort of a system, right? Have some sort of a sales cadence where you're not just doing phone outreach, but you're also doing email and LinkedIn and maybe face-to-face if it's in your local geography. So having a multi-touch point outreach strategy is extremely powerful. It literally can double or triple your contact rate. And we know we're in a contact sport, right? So we have to get contacts. We have to have conversations in order for us to get that dialogue flowing and moving through the sales process to discover if there's any need and if there's any opportunity there. So yeah, listen, again, if you guys really want to dive into the freight broker sales strategies, tactics, and have an entire system, right? A system from A to Z. Here's what you do step by step by step by step by step. You need to sign up on the wait list for my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Okay. It's an 8-week freight broker sales coaching program where I coach you personally and mentor you personally, teach you the entire system, and then help you with any questions, concerns, or issues you have and help you implement it inside of your business. You can get on the wait list at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. It's absolutely free to get on the wait list. You'll get notified when spots open up. They do open up occasionally. And again, it's not a cheap program. It's definitely not a free program, but some of the success stories that we've had come out of it have been amazing. You've probably heard some of those success stories. You've seen some of the testimonials. If you go to that website, you'll actually see, you'll get an opportunity to see a bunch of testimonials. So listen, if you guys are struggling with sales, I'm telling you, this is where you absolutely. I just had a client who had joined a few weeks ago, and in his second week, he reached out to me and said, basically what he said was, hey, listen, in just a couple of weeks I've been here, the strategies that I've learned in just 2 weeks, I was able to leverage those strategies to reach out and make contact with this company. And then several days later, he moved his first shipment for that company. He thanked me. He was obviously incredibly appreciative. And that's an example of someone who's only in the program for a couple of weeks. It's an 8-week program, but I give him kudos because not only did he learn the information, but he implemented it. He took action on it, right? He applied it. Okay. So I hope that helps. Give me a minute. Yeah. Jarrell, the lead source is keychain.com. If you go back through the replay afterwards, because this replay will be available on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, I actually do a full demo of keychain.com. I show you how to find leads based on different food types, different products, different industries, different categories, and then how to use Apollo to source that data, and then even use LinkedIn and another tool called Lusha, Lusha, which is another free plugin that you can use to actually find the email addresses and contact information. So yeah, if you want to check out the replay, you'll get the full details. If not, you can just go to keychain.com and you can check it out and kind of kick the tires yourself. It's free. All you got to do is sign up with your email and you get free access. Betty, what I said about FEMA is you're going to have to go to FEMA. You're going to have to search Google for FEMA logistics providers, FEMA transportation providers, and you'll find there'll be a website on there where you can actually get all the data in order to become an approved FEMA provider. Now, you're going to have to be in business, I think, for a minimum of 3 years. You'll have to have your MC number. They don't do business with brand new brokers. They require you to be in business. You're going to have to jump through a few more hoops in order to become an approved provider. But there's a very small list. I mean, let's say there's 20,000 plus freight brokers. If I had to guess, there's probably less than 1,000 approved FEMA providers. So it's less competitive than the open market, but it's still competitive, right? So if you want to be involved in that, I would do a little bit of research. Maybe I'll do a training in the future about how to get set up as a FEMA provider, but currently I don't have that. Yes, Misha, there's a lot of great data there. You should kick it around. You should go in there, check out the product categories, find some of the products that, that are in your specific niche. If you're in the food niche, because this is co-packing. So you're not going to be finding steel. You're not going to be finding building supplies. You're not going to be finding, that sort of stuff, right? This is all about food. So you're going to find packaging materials. You're going to find ingredients, and then you're going to find the actual co-packers themselves, which actually put it all together. Okay. So a lot of people don't even know what a co-packer is, but a co-packer is just a manufacturing facility that large brands will outsource to actually put their product together. So if they're selling like Breyer's ice cream, probably uses a co-packer to make, put that ice cream into a package and then package it up for shipment. Right. So they do that. They probably outsource that. It allows the Breyer's brand, which I think is maybe a Unilever's brand, probably under Unilever. It allows them to scale up without having to have, set up a new manufacturing facility for every time they have a spike in sales. Right. So yeah, that's an example of what a co-packer is. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. He's a former student of sales, et cetera. Get on the wait list. It's worth it. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Like I said, I don't know if we have any bow hunters in here in the group, but I'm going bow hunting for the first time this season, this afternoon. So I got a few more things I got to wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, here's one more question I'm going to answer here. Okay. Dennis, is it hard for truck drivers to transition into being a freight broker? And do you think driver knowledge as a driver can be important learning that other side of the business? I believe that truck drivers have a huge leg up in becoming a freight broker or freight agent because they already speak the lingo. They already understand, the ins and outs of picking up and delivering freight on time. They've spent hundreds of hours on a dock in a truck. They have hands-on experience. They understand accessorials and detention and lumpers, and all of that is inherently already built into them because they've been a truck driver. So I think it expedites the process there. Secondly, they have a network of people that they've already worked with, different carriers they've worked with, different drivers they know, pickup locations, shippers, receivers, manufacturers. They've got, all these companies that they've worked with in the past. So they also have a network, right? So I think they can pick it up very quickly. Now, here's the thing. Transitioning from truck driver to freight broker, I think could be fairly simple. Now, the key is if you're driving at the same time and you're trying to transition as a broker or an agent, it's a lot more challenging, right? Because you've got your primary job. So you've got to dedicate time as a broker or an agent in order to build your business. You can't do it in your spare time, but you can do it part-time. I've had students who were truck drivers who transitioned within the truck, from the truck into becoming a broker, and then eventually stopped being a truck driver and went full-time broker. I've had that happen, and they are now successful brokers. But, I can't promise you that that's going to work for you. You have to be disciplined and diligent, and you have to be patient, and you have to make sure that if that's what you really want to do, you put the pieces in place. But I think it's very doable. And I think truck drivers have a huge leg up compared to me when I first got started, because I was as green as grass. I didn't know anything about logistics or trucking or transportation or any of that. Okay. I started from zero and was, very blessed to do over $200 million as a freight broker and spent a lot of time in that industry and have been able to, pass on a lot of that knowledge to a lot of my students. But I think you have a huge advantage. I've done a video on it before talking about why I think truck drivers can do very well as freight brokers. So you can check that out on my YouTube channel if you want. All right, guys, listen, awesome. Thanks, Mando, for the insight. But I have new students that have started in the last 30, 60, 90 days that are already profitable and have shippers. So, I'm sure that the crew appreciates your feedback, but it's only your feedback. Here's the thing. If you plan on going out and using some generic cold call script, okay, to try to build your business, hey, we got trucks in your area. I just wonder if we could, give you some rates or move some of your loads. If you do that, don't waste your time. 100% don't waste your time. You'll struggle like Mando, and you'll struggle like other people that take that same approach. But if you want to listen to somebody who's already done hundreds of millions of dollars as a broker, who's went through tons of up markets and down markets, because that's what business is all about, then that's why you'll get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, or why you'll go to my YouTube channel and you'll get, I think I have, I don't even know, I probably close to 100 sales training videos. I don't even know what the exact number is, but it's a lot, right? Of specifically on sales training and how to get shippers. Those are absolutely free. You just go to the YouTube channel. You just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/YouTube, and it'll bring you to the YouTube channel, and you can get all that information for free. So while I do appreciate, your feedback, again, it's just your perspective. There's always going to be competitive markets, but if you figure out a way to differentiate yourself and to stand out from the crowd and not sound like every other broker, you'll do fine. You'll do great. But if you think you're just going to pick up the phone and smile and dial with some generic crappy cold call, not going to work. So don't waste your time. All right, guys, listen, appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. I'll see you next Monday on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Make sure you hit the like button. Appreciate any of the comments and if you have additional questions and you're catching this on replay, hit me up in the comments. I'll try to come back in later after, in the week here and try to answer some of those questions for you in the comments. And enjoy the day, enjoy the week. We'll see you next week. Wish me luck hunting, and I'll give you an update on Monday. Thanks, everybody.